Scroll through files.
Yeah.
That's
There is a button down there for PowerPoint presentation. You can press that 1 second down there
yeah.
or in the slideshow. Yeah. Yeah. Just press that. Yeah. Now it should be like this actually. Just press it once.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It takes some fraction of seconds. No, it has not changed. You need to press it once again. It seems it was not pressed. Yeah. Enter. Or you can go from slideshow also. It is the same thing. Slideshow. Slideshow. Yeah. From beginning. Just press once and just wait for some time. Or from the current slide also, anything you can choose. Why it is not coming? What do you think, Meghali or Shikhar?
Sir, I think Kishore sir has to share the whole screen and not just the PowerPoint app.
Share the screen. Okay. In your while sharing, sir, when you share, all right, then the option comes share the screen or share the Excel or something like that. So you need to share the screen, then it will be okay. You can just go out of the sharing and then again come back. Yeah, now it is okay.
It's okay
now this is okay, and even you can use the pen also if you want. From the side,
Yeah,
you can write the
right click and
you can use the pen or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. And now it is okay.
Okay.
There won't be any problem. You have to go to the first screen. This is the second or third. This one. Yeah, this is the
first one. This first one.
Yeah. Now we'll have around half an hour discussion will be there. So of the recapitulation. So you can, if you want, you can make it small. It will go small, or if you want, you can unshare. There won't be any problem.
Valyadi, what I would suggest after recapitulation, let's go for presentation, and whatever time is we are saving, let's go to full discussion towards the end, including yesterday's queries.
Yeah.
Okay. So that we have a consolidated discussion towards the end.
Only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes for that.
Recapitulation and the one or two questions.
Yeah. Actually, recap is just to increase the number. We are waiting.
Yes.
Because when we noticed, as per that various email IDs, there are altogether around 230 plus people, those who have joined.
Okay.
Whereas at one point of time, there are not more than 125 people.
Yeah. So
it means
let's start.
Everybody is changing.
Yeah. Yogita ji, are you there?
Good morning, sir. Yes, I'm here. Good morning to all
Good
the
morning.
panelists.
So shall we start, Deveshti?
Yeah, Meghali can call Yogita, say something. She might have prepared something. So yeah, you can start now the process.
So the organizing team formally start the program, and let's go for recapitulation and one or two questions, and then two presentations, and then full discussion towards the end.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, a very good morning to everyone. On behalf of Department of Geology, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, once again, I welcome you all to the third day of training program on landslide risk mitigation and management in Northeast India, which is jointly organized by the Department of Geology, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, and in collaboration with National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Before switching over to technical session lectures, I would like to invite Ms. Yogita Garvyal, National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi, to give a brief overview of technical sessions of the last 2 days. Over to you, Ms. Yogita.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I was hoping to share the screen if it is possible.
You can share. This will automatically be unshared in that
Okay,
case.
sir. Okay, sir.
You tell me if I have to unshare.
Good morning, Kishore
You can
sir.
unshare also, sir.
So
That
you
may be
have
better.
to stop sharing because it is
Unshare.
saying that.
Okay. Stop sharing means where it is. I'm not getting stop sharing. Oh, now it has come.
Yeah, I have done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have done it.
Thank you, sir.
That's
Okay.
what I thought without telling you. I'll do it. But she
Thanks,
said it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sir, is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes, visible.
Okay. So good morning to each and everyone. Today is the day 3 of our online training program on landslide risk mitigation and management in Northeast. So before starting, as everyone mentioned, that we will go through a quick recap for the day 2. So yesterday we had 2 lectures. First lecture was taken by Dr. Laldan Puya sir, and the second lecture was taken by Dr. And Professor Chandan Ghosh sir. So we started with discussing on the mitigation and the management of landslide risk. So for that, Dr. Ladan Puya set the tone through his personal experience and the site investigation he did for the Northeast and especially in the Mizoram state. So we took all the mitigation measures through site-specific ideas through various case studies that he has undertaken. So before starting to the mitigation, he gave us a quick recap of what is risk and what is mitigation and how we classify the landslides. And according to those landslide classification, what type of landslides are most prominent in the Northeast India? So when we going for the investigation, he said that we have to take care of the fact that what type of investigation we need to do. Do we need to go for a preliminary investigation or do we need a detailed investigation? Depending on what type of output we want and what kind of a study is a research based or is a project based or is a mitigation based. So he gave all those ideas in the form of examples in the case studies for the recent landslides also in the Phwampui and the Naixil landslide areas of the Mizoram, he said. So there are different investigations when we talk about in details, detailed landslide investigation. So he went through surface deformations, then some geotechnical aspects, geophysical instrumentation and investigations, and hydrological. So all of these 4 play a very important part and neither of them should be missed. So from starting from the surface deformation, he gave some of the ideas on taking how they take geological attributes. They used total stations, GPS. Then through the geotechnical surveys, he said he showed how RQDs, RQS, RMR, and Q these all are taken and then later substituted and then inputted into the various softwares which give us the different kinematic analysis and slope stability analysis. Then he went into the some of the geophysical methods he have adopted in the site specific locations, specifically mentioning the electrical resistivity of that area and the hydrological and the most important aspect in the part of investigation where we check on the both the pore pressures and also in the groundwater and also the nearby drainages and the natural drainages that are located in that area. So different ways of surveying and monitoring was also showed by Sir, like through borehole or extensometers or tape extensometer or crack meters that can be used. Various modelings analysis were also being shown by Sir. And then in the end, he also gave us a very quick idea on what are the good and the bad practices that are followed. that need to be followed and need not to be followed when we are building our houses in the slope, as per the Australian Geomechanics Society that has been given, and also as per the NIDM landslide preparedness mitigation measures. He also gave us a quick idea on to go through the guidelines given by NIDM or the GSI websites or NDMA DPR templates. So now moving on to the lecture 2, which was given by Professor Chandan Ghosh sir on landslide risk in Northeast India and its mitigation and management using green techniques. Sir started by giving us an idea that why do we need to go for the green revolution and going for bioengineering apart from very science-based solutions, because they are very easily adaptable, they are replicable, they are cost effective. And sometimes for us, it is easier to adapt to simpler measures rather than going for a very difficult and a complex solutions, which are hard to replicate in every and each situations in case of landslides. So he specifically pointed that we should not go directly for the mitigation measures that has been given as per the guidelines, but we need to check and we need to give weightage to the science and the research behind those areas. What are the causative factors that are causing those landslides issues, and then go for a solution. So he also showed various case studies in his presentations through which he wanted us to understand that in different scenarios or different events can lead to different types of landslide hazards, and what simple bioengineering measures can be applicable in all of those case studies, even in different landslide scenarios. So he also mentioned that earthquakes can also lead to many landslide hazards and collapsing of building. So there can be a multiple scenarios and the multiple hazards or vulnerabilities that can come up, but we need to see that directly implying on the mitigation measures, what all the vulnerabilities of those areas are towards all and each and every hazards, and then and how we can control it by simple local measures. He also said that sometimes we do the DPR and we are not correlating it with site investigations. So we need to check that our DPRs are perfectly correlated with the site specific details and the site specific instrumentations we are doing. And then we need to change all those landslide mitigation methods as per the studies. So rather than going for a very high-tech culverts, or he said that simple measures like inclined drain pipes, a use of vertebral grasses for stabilizing the disturbed slopes can also be used in that cases. So he a very detailed give the descriptions or the advantages and rather the all the advantages. We do not have much of disadvantage with vertical grasses. So he said how we these in different parts of the India and as well as highly applicable abroad as well. So these vertical grasses were opted as one of the prominent bio engineering measures, where a failing slope can be stabilized by inputting those roots into the slopes in a perfect manner, but making sure that we have also checking the proper drainage measures while applying those vertical measures in the slopes. So there are various advantages like the extensive root growth of these grass in a very short time, being very hardy material, being very drought and fire resistant. They are perennial, so they are always evergreen, and there is no need of maintenance or caring that is required. Being non-invasive, it will not affect the natural growth of those areas, and it also leads both the grass and its roots leads to several other products which can be used for other livelihood sources as well. Different types of uses, and there are different types of vertical grasses. He said like type A, B, C, D, but they all are different from each other. So the investigation and research is very important while before applying it to any of the landslide areas. So we need to make sure that what is the output we want. So according to that, what kind of a vertical grass is the most suitable. For that, so he also ended with the vertical measures that are applicable in the NE slopes. However, this I have mentioned. So there are various other uses of vetiver grasses as a byproducts, like in medicines, root mats, or making sherbets, or like they are also a good desert coolers, or you can make paper, brooms, straws. So these are the various things that can be used from vetiver grasses. And these are the two lectures for the yesterday. We also went to some of the queries and some of the queries of the participants, like swelling of the clays, sampling process, DPRs. These were also said into the yesterday's lecture. So that was all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Yogita, for your nice presentation. Now, moving ahead, all the participants are requested to put their queries through the chat box, or you can put your questions through the YouTube chat. Sir, can I move ahead?
Yeah, if you have got one or two quick query, anybody wants to comment on yesterday's presentation, you are welcome. Anybody
Okay.
wants to comment or suggest or say anything with regard to yesterday's training program, then you are free to comment. Yeah, otherwise you are free to ask in question and answer box or in the chat box. So thank you, Yogita, for giving excellent overview of yesterday's presentation. So it is a good recap. Thank you very much. We can go ahead, Meghali ji.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Kishore Kumar, former Chief Scientist and Professor, CSIR Central Road Research Institute, Division of Geotechnical Engineering. Sir has obtained his PhD degree on natural laws for the development of landslides and other slope processes in the year 1991 from Moscow Institute of Geology and Prospecting, Russia. He is an expert on landslide, rockfall, and other mass movements, mitigation, and management, mainly engaged with research and development on various aspects of natural hazard and risk management, particularly landslide hazard. I welcome you, sir, to deliver the lecture on building resilient road infrastructure in landslide-prone areas. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Meghali ji, for such a nice introduction. And thanks to, first of all, Dr. Amir for again inviting me to share my experiences with you all. And thanks for Yogita for such a very nice recap. I could understand what has happened behind me. So that is a very, very nice cap. So now what shall I share once again?
Sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can share one second.
I hope it is visible. Hello.
No, sir. No, sir, your
Not
screen
yet.
is not visible.
Not yet.
Not visible.
Yeah, you have to share the whole. Will come. It takes
I
some
share once
seconds.
again. I'll go.
Your PowerPoint is open.
Yeah, my PowerPoint is open. Is open and now it is slide
Share
mode.
the screen.
Now it is not visible still.
No,
Okay. What is the
you need to share your screen.
Sir, please go back to Cisco WebEx app and then click share on the app again.
Only that down there, share screen is there. Share the whole window.
Okay, just a minute because I have to probably
Good morning, Professor Arun. Welcome, sir. You need to unmute to say something, sir.
I was thinking that to at least have some glimpses of the webinar before my lecture.
Yeah, just now, Yogita gave overview of earlier presentations. Just now, that part is over.
Achha. So my lecture may be scheduled it by 12:30 or something, 12:45.
Maybe we'll schedule it a little before. Maybe by 12:20 or 12:30.
Okay. No problem.
We can see your screen, sir.
Yeah.
See?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is visible now.
Professor Arun, namaskar, good morning.
Sir, namaskar, sir. Kaise hain?
How are you? I'm good. Thank you so much. After a long time seeing you.
Kya bataye, sir. Situation is very difficult even in Northeast India also.
It is everywhere.
Rest
So
of the
I'll
country
start,
is becoming normal. Now it is problem, sir. Sir, please continue your lecture. No problem.
Yeah. So good morning to all of you once again, and thank you very much. And sorry for this little hiccup. I guess that the lectures had happened before. They have all addressed the issues what I am speaking about. So for me, it is much easier now to briefly kind of speak my thing instead of going into long details. Those who have heard me last time, probably the same presentation, except something is added now in terms of the case studies. So all of your presentation had happened. What I understood is addressed the resilient road infrastructure per se. Now, when we talk about resilient infrastructure, certainly it should be sustainable. And sustainable, when we say that it should undoubtedly go with the conservation of the natural environment and natural resources simultaneously. So in that case, this is kind of holistic kind of development, which apart from short-term objective of socio-economic prosperity, also look about the sustainability and environment of the health environment. So the sustainable infrastructure must necessarily be resilient to disaster. When I say resilient to disaster, probably all of you are aware of the definition, that it should be not only capable of sustaining the impact of the hazard, but should also be capable of adapting well to those kind of hazards with little bit of corrections or maybe little bit of damage correction. So should be resilient to climate change. As we know all that now we are in a time when there is a visible climate changes have been observed in terms of the variability of temperature, variability of rainfall, and its impact on our day-to-day life. So the infrastructure which we develop and which we have already developed had to be upgraded in such a way that the climate impact which are visible now, it should surpass that or should stand by those changes. And similarly, the socio-economic pressures which we are getting and which really force us to kind of construct new infrastructure or upgrade or reconstruct the new one. So next. Well, so what is a holistic infrastructure must, as I've already told that, first of all, the safety of the infrastructure, other way, it is a highway, it is a road, it is any infrastructure. It should be, their safety should be very adequately managed. And it should be, as I told you, that not only disaster resilient, but ecologically, environmentally resilient. Now, this is a new term now has been included in every sustainable development or any development. there should be ecological environmental friendly, particularly in case of the Himalaya, where we have, I will go to that slide, where we have a lot of peculiarities and a lot of good things about Himalaya. So conserve those things is also a kind of additional responsibility of those who are looking for creation of the infrastructure in hilly areas. Now, we know that the linear infrastructure, whether it is Himalaya, any other hill region, or even in plain areas, we will experience a lot of problems. So there will be risk undoubtedly in some areas. So these risks should be also known to the people. We cannot simply construct infrastructure around the people, and then people for whom, or the connectivity we create for whom, are not aware of those kind of risks, it will not be correct. And because of that, we know that we are facing a lot of difficulties. So we have to also ensure that once risks are identified, we should have enough guidelines known how to avoid those risks if they are there, how to reduce the likelihood so that in future they don't occur, and how to reduce the consequences of the risk which we cannot avoid actually, and then how to monitor. You people have already addressed this landslide monitoring and investigation, so on and so forth. This is again a complicated picture, so I'm happy to learn that most of the geologists must be there these days. I mean, doing this presentation, so I don't have any problem in explaining. Rather, you don't have any problem in understanding what is this slide all about. So when you talk about Himalayas, right from one end to the another one, this is all divided into different kind of plates, which actually divide our Himalaya into different physiographic units. What is peculiar about it that every division has a different kind of structure, different kind of lithology, different kind of even weather conditions, vegetation, flora, fauna, so on and so forth. It has all different kind of this thing. This makes the Himalaya very complicated in the sense of constructing infrastructure, particularly the road infrastructure, because then in every physiographic division, you have to think about a different kind of design, or at least modification of those design. Similarly, if you see the, I'll not go into detail of the history of Himalaya, but you know that is dynamic land, still immature. We know there's young land mass. This everybody knows, but it is because of those characteristic, it is still undergoing changes, and that too rapidly. Now the changes which are actually natural had been there since the beginning of the formation of the Himalaya. That doesn't really bother us, as they did not bother us before. But when we ourselves has intruded into this kind of land environment for our own development, we started facing the backlash because of our intrusion into the natural setting. So whatever natural process had been there which were not impacting us, started impacting us in a big way. So with ongoing erosion, natural erosional or other denudation processes, even landslide, rockfall, or whatever, when we intruded into that, we started getting all those kind of problem in a multiple way and in a multifold manner. So northeastern region is also a very sensitive part, rather more sensitive than in other part of the Himalayas. And 20 is a old landslide, but around 20% of the area of this land mass is having occurrences of landslide. And it has a lot of landslide in all the states are impacted because landslide. It has a peculiarity in the sense that geologically it's vulnerable because it also impacted by whatever Himalayan system I told you, but also these Burmese ranges, and it is also very close to the Bay of Bengal. So cyclones and all those things are there. So it is more vulnerable to climatic impacts as well as seismic impacts, that is earthquake and other seismic day-to-day events. It has, compared to other part of the Himalayas, it has unique geoenvironmental or geotectonic setting, as I told you, for cohesive foundation grade material, most part of the northeastern region. Lack of proper drainage leading to piping action is basically because of that kind of material. When it gets eroded naturally or weathered naturally in due course of time, these kind of obstruction come into place. Natural drainage congestion, one is because of the natural thing, another because of the activities which we do there without consideration of these kind of peculiarities. Then region fall under high rainfall and high seismic sensitivity. So the main issues are planning, construction, and maintenance issues. I would say that more than construction of new alignment or new roads, there are issues of upgradation and reconstruction. So we have to take care of these. These are certain kind of slides all over northeastern region. I am not go through each and just scrolling for your uh, knowledge. These I have discussed last time, and maybe this time also you might have discussed. Only point is that in northeastern region, there is a considerable quantity, a number of landslides which are in habitat areas. So this is basically because of the kind of land we have, very good land for habitation, but also have a problem because of the material and because of the activities, what is being done on the land by the people. Will not go into those details, but those are some of the issues which are also important to understand. Now, I discussed this slide also last time, that what are the major concerns, not only for northeastern region, but for all over Himalaya. And this is very important for planners and those people who are constructing there and who are designing actually. It's extremely important for them to understand that the dynamic landmass or its geology or whatever dynamism it has, it cannot be changed. It cannot be altered. Whatever way we have to construct, live with it. Climate change impact, as the projection says, in different parts, they are going to be much more prominent than what we are facing today. So we have to now have this in mind before planning and also designing the construction. Rainfall variability, temperature variability, I have already told you, all these simultaneously joining together, I'm sorry, making this landmass a vulnerable landmass. So what if we accept these facts that these are the peculiarities there? I'm addressing it particularly for those people who are responsible for planning, design, and construction. So they have to accept the fact that this is a dynamic landmass. Here processes, I mean natural processes are still active. So that is one acceptance. Then these all variabilities, what we have explained, are there. Now, only acceptance will not help us in designing these kind of things. We should have a database. And then somebody, I think Professor Walia and somebody else, I have seen the lecture on DPR. Probably you might have addressed those kind of things, that unfortunately we have very pathetic DPRs, or many DPRs which are very sort of things what is required. So if we accept those facts and then we have the knowledge, when I say knowledge means I have the know-how, I have the database of those nitty-gritties, what we are discussing, then I can take some action. The best action and first action will be the consideration. Consideration when? During planning, investigation, development, construction, operational maintenance. All these data, whatever we have or whatever we can gather, we will be utilizing the same data for all these stages from planning to the maintenance or in between. So these data is very important. If we don't have that data and the databases of these peculiarities or nitty-gritties, believe me, our design is going to be faulty. Definitely. Therefore, we most of the time concentrate on valuable, good, robust, detailed DPRs. That's very important. So, if we talk about in engineering terms, these are the kind of problems we are mostly addressing and facing in Himalayas or any other hilly areas, that alignment, stability of hill slope, soil erosion, as I told you, is intense because our landmass is still active. Landslides are natural as well as now anthropogenic. Drainage is one of the very important factors which has been ignored most of the time, or not ignored intentionally sometime, because it is not in your DPR. It is not known that how the drainages in Himalayas they work. Snow avalanche, glaciers, these are maintenance. We will talk a little bit about maintenance later on. This is very important issue. Ecology, environment, this new entity which we have to address along with the other issues undoubtedly. So I've already told about this slide, this kind of physiographic unit of the Himalaya and the variability in every kilometer or even every step sometime, every few meter and few hundred meters, you get these kind of peculiarities. So a design cannot be the same all through. That is important, and our engineer friends should always understand that the same design will not work in all the stages. There will be a variability in design, and there must be some changes which we have to do as per the information available, which we should have, as I already told you. So the planning, investigation, design, construction, and maintenance of highway, what it should consider. Probably Professor Saibal goes address those issues about the multi-hazard perspective, multi-scale dimension of these kind of maps and all those kind of things. Those are very important. So what I am addressing is that susceptibility or vulnerability of the terrain is very important. Now, it's not only important to have the map of the particular areas in whatever scale you have, and then not use them. See, the point is that in many areas, such kind of hazard maps with lot of difficulties, particularly GSI and other agencies have already created. Unfortunately, these maps are not being used, partly because we have a lagging in our policy or systems where we have not made it mandatory. Second is that the scale problem. Probably CyberGhost might have addressed that issue, that where we require 1:50,000, it will not work in a local scale map, while 1:50,000 is important for planning stage and so on and so forth. So susceptibility and vulnerability assessment of the terrain which you are cutting are important before you cut. After any major events, that's unfortunate part, that even landslide happens, we confine ourselves within that particular boundary of landslide which have already happened. Now, one has to be understood one thing by our friends, that the landslide has already happened is not a problem creator. The problem lies beyond the boundary. So further landslide what happened in that particular area, which will keep on repeating, because the external boundaries, external forces which are not included within that boundary. So that it should be inclusive. Therefore, the revisit and again revisiting of the areas is required. Remapping and survey and reconstruction is therefore is important. Multidisciplinary team, this is again lacuna. We'll for last 20-30 years we keep on telling those, but that's a problem. We don't have our construction agencies and so on and so forth. We don't have multidisciplinary teams which take care of. We have different institutions looked by different people, and then we have a problem most of the time. Now, Professor Sevegold must have told you about the scale, but I'm just addressing one issue, is that when you talk about the construction of the, or upgradation or reconstruction of the highway in Himalayas with the scale. So say, for example, or on the topo map or topographic map and all those kind of things. That is good for planning stage. When you go for construction, you are not able to, I mean, that map will not digest all those information which you require for construction of the highway and the particular areas. So therefore, we require large scale maps. Now, having said that, okay. Having said that, we have already lot of maps in public domains, lot of landslide hazard zonation map, all those have been created, but they have not been utilized for some or other regions. Scale is one of the big factor. Now, it is not really possible in Himalayas to physically create kind of maps which we desire. Therefore, rather, and also it's not possible all the time that you go for some aerial survey all the time. So there should be a combination of this. The point here is that now robust technologies are available in the market, which with no much of the time have the capability, utilizing of course the appropriate cameras and so on and so forth. We have the capability of capturing a very good amount of information, which is scale effective, time effective, and which is very good using for all these, whether it is small scale, medium scale, large scale, or whatever scale kind of construction you want to do on the ground. These technologies address that. So you have those kind of options available. Now, believe me, once we start using those technologies, they are also cost effective, provided we are using them and we make it mandatory for using the, why not? Because they are only the solution for us. And we also require most of the time, I'll add 1 second, most of the time that, I mean, you might have seen, we live in this world only, that in our country, most of the time things are in war footing. So whatever we want, we within that 5-year period of that particular dispensation, we have to construct all those kind of things. And sometimes the planning stage is also a bigger one, and investigation we are not getting practically, I would say that not time or very less time for, which is the important part of our infrastructure. So that is a problem. So how to reduce that time is because of utilizing the technology, appropriate technology, which are plenty in market at not very much cost. Example I have given last time also is Indian satellite system. Huge repository of good data with different resolution can be utilized for planning, investigation, even investigation to a larger extent, and then rest of the things for construction and maintenance as well. We'll talk about that in a little while. So if you utilize technologies, this Professor Cyber goals must have addressed those issues. But if you utilizing those technologies, whether it is terrestrial based, whether it's aerial based, whether it's satellite data and so on and so forth, it has the capability of generating large scale data at the scale you wish. Of course, it will not give you the data of beyond the time you don't have, but probably since we have these kind of facilities available, remote sensing data, it can create those databases. It can give you landslide hazard zonation map with the scale you want, landslide susceptibility, vulnerability maps, and all this to some extent. As I told you that except a few of the geotechnical and geological input, most of the investigation part can also be addressed by those technologies. Monitoring, early warning, all those will be the part of this robust technology. So It will be useful if you utilize those technology on planning, design, construction, operation, information, monitoring, maintenance, upgradation, all these stages for improved risk management, which we require to do, allow for complete transparency, because if you utilize technology, a digital database is already available. You can time and again visit it, you can repeat it, you can add things, so on and so forth. So it is complete transparency. Anybody can see it, anybody can work on it. Increase collaboration. Yes, this is again, it is required a multidisciplinary team to work on these technologies and not one particular kind of profession or specialization. So these kind of things are there. Just one example of having a map into those scales. Now it can very nicely identify the areas vulnerable for whatever criteria one selects. These are well set criteria. But when you go into the construction is investigation construction, it says the zone, the area which you have identified, say moderately or low, prone to landslide, will be divided into many other sensitivities, maybe vulnerability, different vulnerability, as because of the scale effect. So scale should be appropriate so that it gives up ground truthing. I give you one example of a Kaliasaur landslide in Uttarakhand, wherein we have created 1:500 scale map, and then it was capable of even addressing the drainage issues. It was able to address us that what were the drainage before 10 years and what are the drainages after 10 years, how they have changed. This slide just to show you that the mechanism of the drainages changed along with the kind of landslide or deformation in the ground can also be seen using the technology. So last time I did not show these kind of stories, which we have success cases while I was working in Center for Research Institute. I thought that also. So there are some case studies of Uttarakhand, Nagaland, Sikkim, Andaman, Himachal, Mizoram. So I think whenever I think whosoever is coordinating can give me a kind of warning, maybe 2 or 3 minutes before, so that I'll change my things accordingly. So this is one area in Uttarakhand, Patalganga landslide, actually then NH58 is a very important highway. It's only the national highway which connects very important part of the Himalayan, that's Garhwal Himalaya with rest of the country. So this all and strategic in nature as well. So there was the kind of area which were impacted 1970, and there was a landslide. So I'll not go into that history, it will be bigger. But it was an area, it is still an area which is of utmost concern. So that was selected, and it was under some DST sponsored project as well as CSIR project and our all in-house project. So it kept on going on. So this is, as you see that, I'll not go into much because it's well spoken about this in many case studies. I have few papers on that. The 1970, for example, you had, I'm sorry. I was looking for the, oh, not coming. Anyway, so anyway, 1970, it was as you seen in the picture, 1990 at that bridge. And now if that bridge goes, then there is no space to, we have to go other side. Like in short, I'm telling you, 1970, that a bridge, the dam was created here and breaching, there was a devastation, so on and so forth. So that's important area. So it is the landslide in the mouth of that particular drainage, Patalganga is a drainage, and this is the basin. So we have taken whole basin as well as that particular landslide. So I'm only, why I'm talking on this is that on the technology, because these maps were available in a 1:50,000 scale map, but we are not able to study because no details are there in 1:50,000 map. It's not possible to have those kind of details in 1:50,000 map. So then we have created our own map, 1:500, and for the whole valley, 1:12,500, utilizing remote sensing data, stereo peer, as well as the ground data and created for both landslide as well as for the valley different kind of maps, and then started working on it. As you see in the screen, that we have once you create the contour map, you all know that then it's possible to create DEM. When DEM is there, then you can create, I mean, the drainage map, your morphology map, the aspect map, slope map, so many things are there. So these are the power of those kind of technologies wherein the ground representation can be seen on 2D or 3D, whatever kind of map you want to see, and work on that. Work on that in the lab to the wish you wish, utilizing, for example, GIS software and so on. That you can have the kind of scale wherein you can, through the photographs, whether it is terrestrial, remote sensing, whatever, can even monitor the slope even without any edge of an instrument. So these are the kind of use of those technologies, which of course we are using in academic scale. Professor Punia, last time I told, this time he might have also addressed those issues, geophysical last time and all these things. We are using those for academic. A lot of good papers, publications are already there. What about the practically using for infrastructure development is still lagging. So knowledge is not lagging, the application is lagging. That's what I'm understanding. So similarly for the valley also, we did the same process and we got all those kind of, and then of course you know that different kind of methodologies are there. When if you have the database and you have GIS with you, then you can play with that data and get lot of combination of the maps in relation to the kind of landslide or any other, maybe erosion, maybe any other hazard. You can create those and you can one-to-many relationship or one-to-one relationship. You can create lot of relationships, and then you can create different kind of maps. You can combine those, and then you can create a combined landslide susceptibility, landslide vulnerability, or risk map. So what we require is that the database technologies and methodologies are already available in the market. So in fact, there are many methodologies depending on your kind of, I'm not going to those research, you all know those kind of information available. You have the technology, I mean the methodology available where you don't have much of the information, but you have whatever you have, you can utilize those for just an idea. So that same thing was done here. We had kind of landslide versus geology aspect. Some of the things are shown in there. And then utilizing certain methodology, we have combined all those kind of uh, thematic informations or databases, and then created kind of the maps, vulnerability map, which is 1 is to 12,500. Now you can imagine 1 is to 12,500 is a big, huge map. This is what you are able to see on the screen is a just map with a blue kind of flowers and designs. But when you take it in actual scale, it will give you nitty-gritty of that particular. It's basically the guide map prepared for the development for that particular valleys. Unfortunate part is that the academic or research institutions in our country are not maybe involved or maybe not responsible or not really concerned for the ground application of those. Their job is research, producing reports, papers, whatever, but to implement those is not their job. That's the unfortunate part of that. That link we have to somehow address in our policy planning, wherein they are also involved when we plan, when we investigate, when we construct, and so on and so forth. So this is one link, weak link, I would say. If that can be addressed, probably that it would be a very good infrastructure. At least we won't have the absolute risk-free infrastructure, but we will not have the kind of problem for sure what we are getting today if we address that. The small link we have to fill somewhere. Probably NIDM can help because the kind of position they are having, they can address those issues in future to come. This is a landslide map. That's for verification purpose. If you any kind of vulnerability or risk or susceptibility map you create, you have to validate it. So there are two ways of validation. It one, you go field and validate it. Another, you in the lab scale you validate it. So you have to have an authentic database of the hazards, not only talking about landslide, maybe any other hazard, and then verify that that the map you have created is giving those kind of information accurately. If 80+% also it gives, it's very good. And then you have the way to verify it in the ground as well. So by this discussion, what we can achieve is terrain can be classified, landslide database inventory is developed, utilizing technology, triggering factors identified, condition factor. All these have already been discussed by Professor Saiban Ghosh and others while discussing about landslide hazard zonation and so on and so forth. I'm not going. So the point is that these susceptibilities can be noted. Once that susceptibility maps or zones or they are identified, then we can further go knowing the type of landslide, element at risk, disaster planning, prevention. These are the further issues. The point of stressing is that our system, we feel that very burdened when we talk about the word susceptibility and vulnerability. Many people even don't like these words. Do you know? What is this nonsense vulnerability? How we will come to know and all those. And so this is what is lacuna. We have to somehow, because we as a geologist, for example, or engineering geologist, we can talk about those, or landslide experts, we can talk about those, we can produce these kind of very good maps and all this thing, but if they are not utilized or they are not in conjunction with the kind of infrastructure being developed, they are useless in the sense that if they are not being used for the purpose they are made there. And there are plenty of such cases, and Professor Arun Kumar knows this. If Dr. Bhup Singh joins us, he is the most experienced person who knows about all these kind of things what I am telling. So the same thing, Patal Ganga, we can utilize that information for monitoring, for example. This particular landslide had been monitored utilizing GPS total station and some specially designed steel pedestals. We have monitored it to that scale. I'm setting 1:500 scale. Means sub-millimeter accuracy of data you can get. So the scale makes a lot of difference. So this, I'm not going into detail though. So this kind of monitoring data has been processed, and we could know that what is moving. You see this kind of only photograph to that scale can give you a lot of information that how the topography is changing in a particular area, some of the geotechnical, and then you can go for. Another one is Kaliasaur landslide. I will quickly go it. As you see in the photographs, many people already heard about it. It's a very old landslide for I think 5 or 6 decades old. So the some kind of dynamic of the landslide I have shown in the picture, and we have again gone through the same kind of process what I have shown you in Patalganga for large scale mapping, and then we could understand that how morphology of the particular landslide is changing, and then we could know that why it is changing, what are the causes, what are the factors behind its changing, where it is changing most, which are the areas growing, and so on and so forth. Yes, Amirji.
Yeah, sir, your lecture is very interesting, but
Okay.
considering the time limitation, I
Tell
would
me
like
how
to
many
request
minutes,
you if you can wind up, please. Anji.
okay, I'll take 2-3 minutes, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yes.
so when we have gone to the same process,
Really
we
good.
have monitored the slopes after identifying the areas of the concern, and we have taken attention to only those areas where monitoring was required, and monitor is utilizing the same technology what we did in Patalganga, and then monitor those and then design the remedial measures. One important aspect of the sustainability is that the kind of material you might be seeing it all, you go on the highways, the material which comes from the slide as well as the construction material. Unfortunately, all of that material is being dumped. So this was kind of, I think many of you might have heard about that. The first time drum diaphragm returning structure, is especially design structure, was created and utilized and demonstrated in Kaliasaur landslide. Is a 90-meter and 2.5-meter high structure created, and it all, nothing from outside was used. All the material what was coming from the debris has been utilized there. The point I'm making is that these days sustainability also should also address the kind of material we are getting as going to the river and polluting not only the rivers, it's going down to the Bay of Bengal. And if you see that the area of Bay of Bengal is more than 5 kilometers already expanded. Okay, we did some studies on economic impact of one landslide. I'll not talk about much about it, except that for 45 days it was closed and the money was coming at about 25 million rupees only for detouring for 45 days. So you can just imagine how many landslides we have, how much we might be spending. This NH39, I'm only showing this landslide and then the map created, and you see that the whatever is seen on the ground can be seen on the map, and then you can at your lab, at your each, can plan whatever you would like to plan, right? These kind of some inputs are given where geomorphology is created, because you once created the map of 1:500 scale. You can create DEM, you can create geomorphology, drainage, so on and so forth, and design the remedial measure at your each, at the lab itself. So these are some of the more landslide on that particular area which we have did. Now I'll not much talk. This is in near Gangtok. In all those areas, whatever I am talking, whatever I have discussed with you about the sustainability, those methods we have utilized. That it should be a resilience highway. There should be a sustainable. We have to care of environment as well as the disaster. So these kind of things. So you have sounded the alarm. So I'll probably stop here and not go beyond that, except one more thing which I have told you in continuation, that the it will take 1 minute, probably not more than that. The the solution of some changes in policy is also warranted. That we so far don't have the system. Now probably government started doing it. At least they started giving much more funds. We don't have the policy wherein slope is also considered as a part of infrastructure, at least part of the slope, because it's not per se because of the highway we are getting problems. Highway are very good. They are constructed by the engineer, very good highway road. It's because of the slope, downhill and uphill slope side, we are facing the problem. So that downhill and uphill side slopes are not in our policy maintainable. They are not maintained. They are as and when basis. Whenever landslide occur, okay, we will go and do something. Otherwise, we won't bother about this. So I'll not talk much about it. But there is a highway slope management system in need of that. In many countries already there. And we should have this kind of system in our country on the highway basis. If not at all, we are at the time it cannot be created at 11th hour. It will take some time, but on the highway basis, we can create that very nice, robust highway management system, which is responsible not only for managing the highway, but managing or maintaining the slope. This will make our life much easier. With that, I will stop here. That was the example. Thank you so much for patience hearing, and I had to rush as always. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Amir and Dr. Walia. So I'm okay with it. And any question, I'll be happy to answer, please.
Thank you, sir, for very informative and excellent presentation. You have well explained about landslide scenario of Northeast India and why Northeastern region a hotspot for landslide. And you have well highlighted about the main problems with hill roads and explain about the technologies that we should adopt to improve the risk management. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Thank you, sir. Now,
Welcome.
moving ahead, now I would like to request Professor Arun Kumar, Department of Art Sciences, Manipur University, Imphal, and former General Secretary, Scientific Activities, Indian Science Congress Association, Kolkata. Also, former expert member, Appraisal Committee on Hydroelectric and River Valley Projects, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Former member, Program Advisory Committee, Seismology, Ministry of Art Sciences. He works in the field of natural hazards and mitigation, especially landslides and earthquake. He was actively involved in polar studies at North Pole expedition for a period of 6 summer seasons for isostatic rebound measurement at a very slow moving Arctic plate due to climate change. He has published more than 50 papers in referred journals, edited volumes, and books. I welcome you, sir, to deliver the lecture on landslide hazard mitigation and landslide early warnings in Northeast India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohali. And I would like to share my partner this PowerPoint presentation. So can I do like this? And
Yes, sir, you can share, sir.
okay, okay. So it will be screen, I think. First, we'll go to the screen and
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. No problem. Thank you very much. Actually, I am really grateful to NIDM and NEHU who has coordinated such a wonderful program in this lockdown period in Northeast India, because still we are under the lockdown. Most of the countries has started unlocking it, but our condition is still at the same time. So that is the reason why we are really enjoying this type of presentations, and it will give us a good idea also. And it is not only good for ourselves, but our young geoscientists, young engineers, and young researchers. They are also having a good experience, at least in sharing these ideas, so that for their future program and like this, they will be able to get more and more idea. Okay. Now, can we see our slide here, no? From here?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, you can connect, sir.
So, Dr. Kishore, actually, we had a very old interaction, maybe from last 2 decades, and he took one name, Dr. Bhup Singh. He is in Ministry of Science and Technology. He was there from as early as from 1989 onwards, and after that. He acquired his PhD also from our Manipur University, and he was having a lot of fascination from the DST side, and he started a landslide programs and he continued for more than 2.5 decades. So wherever in the country, whether it is Himalayan part or northeastern region or even Maharashtra or even Kerala, wherever landslide problems are there, you will find Dr. Bhup Singh initiatives, some of the projects, some of the PIs, everybody he was trying to keep them. And in this process, what actually he has helped, people are from the ministries, they were having a different type of concept. But Dr. Bhup Singh is the only person, he always encouraged the youngsters, the PIs, the elderly people, whosoever is having some expertise on geology, disasters, landslides, geotechnical, and up to certain stage, he has gone up to a situation where he has gone for the landslide early warning landslide programs also on just last part of his service tenure. Now he's not in DST. He is leading a retired life, but still he has a lot of interest. So this program we started in 2018, and it was also the initiative of Dr. Bhup Singh. And from Northeast India, we coordinated some universities and even IIT Guwahati also, even from NIT Agartala also. And then he made that you can take some small two landslides, individual landslides for geotechnical work, for modeling work, because Dr. Kishore has given a lot of interesting things. So after his lecture, I want to just add our discussion that in which where he was briefing Northeast India also, Himalayan part also. So with some brief data also, which recently we have generated, it is really useful on various aspects. And I also like to share this. Professor Devesh Walia in this program also, he is one of the PI also, and he is the co-coordinator of this networking program. And basically it was designed for northeastern states, involving in the the university people, IITs people also, NIT people also. So these are actually the list of the all 12 people projects from Manipur, from Nagaland, from Mizoram, from Meghalaya, from Tripura, all this, and even from Assam also. So these people were involved, and they have done lot of work for a period of 2 years to 2.5 years. We had some problem last year also. We wanted to complete it, but because of the COVID-19 first phase, the program was delayed, and still we wanted to make a compendium of it. So whatever things we have done, it should come on a level, a document, so that it can be used by the user agencies also, later on some young researchers also. All these type of things we have done it. So the way in which you can see that how Dr. Bhup Singh was coordinating those things. So at June 9th, 10th in 2018, when by March he sanctioned all the projects. So he suggested us that let us have a takeoff meeting at Northeastern Hill University. Professor Devesh Walia was kind enough to organize this meeting at NEHU, and we had 2 days meeting and a half day field work also. Then later on, since most of the universities people, they were having little bit difficulty about the geotechnical aspect of the landslide, which is also necessary, as Dr. Kishore also told, that we require a multidisciplinary team for this. So definitely when you go for the geological investigation, geomorphological investigations on the landslide, then the question comes that how far you can have a geotechnical component on your landslide issues. So IIT Guwahati came forward, and he has the Dr. Professor Murli. He has organized a geotechnical training program for February 28 to 2nd March, and the PIs of the networking program, as well as the manpower, young manpower also was there. So they have been involved, and at least IIT Guwahati is having a very good infrastructure for the geotechnical investigations. They have got a good experts, people also there in Guwahati IIT. So we took an advantage, and it was a program. So every project and every PI, including the project people, project fellows also, they have given a good beginning that how the geotechnical data has to be collected, how it has to be processed, and later on they also extended that if you want to have some testing and other facilities, then also they could be utilized the IIT Guwahati's lab. And Dr. Bhup Singh also invested sanctioned some money for small equipment. So every PI, whosoever is doing the work, at least he will have some infrastructure, only not only for this project, but he can able to train the people also, and some continuity should be there. We also help from Manipur University, particularly the large scale terrain mapping, as we really require a detailed terrain map for the landslide picking up, landslide causes, geomorphological details. So our Survey of India and other agencies, they have the map up to 1:25,000 scale. Definitely, when you are working on landslide, individual landslide, you require a map at least for 500 to 1,000 scale. So for that purpose, he has given us a drone under the international program with NGI Oslo. So from there, we have got a drone also, and with the help of drone, we have demonstrated in Manipur University that how we can prepare a large scale map of the terrain. So these activities we have taken up in the last 2 years. Beside, every individual PI also has taken up this work. So just I wanted to show you the glimpses. This was the takeoff meeting from 9th to 10th June at NEHU we had it. Then we have a geotechnical training program from February 28 to 2nd March in 2019 at IIT Guwahati, where most of the PIs and the project fellows, they were involved in this type of a very comprehensive training along with theory and practical part. They have been trained there. And here we can see that a large scale terrain mapping we have demonstrated the all PIs, and then after that we have given this type of the university campus things when we are doing it. Then all the micro relief and all features, they were done with the help of the drone mapping. So this three part we have added here for our networking program. So none of the PI as well as his team will have any difficulty to carry out the landslide investigation. So we had some broad objective of this networking projects in Northeast India. Most of the objectives was made that large scale mapping, at least 1:500,000 scale, 500 scale. Then geotechnical study from soil, then kinematic analysis as well as slope analysis also was one of the components. So it's not for all PIs, but some of the PIs selected for these type of objectives, they have been allotted to them. Accordingly, they have done the work. Then there were two cases were there where the monitoring of the landslide also was conducted here. That means which are the factors which are involved in inducing the landslide and how it can be monitored. Then some of the groups, they have been given the geomorphic and structural mapping of the landslide prone areas. And another thing was there, that estimation of the unconsolidated mass cover, which creates problem for the loose rocks, particularly in Northeast India, leaving apart from Meghalaya. Most of these rocks are of tertiary age and they are highly susceptible to the weathering and erosion part. So that is one of the thing. And over once it multiplied with the excessive rainfall, then you can see the result what it's happening. Most of the national highways, they are facing problem of the landslide. Then we had a geo-hydrological studies also at IIT Guwahati as well as in NEHU also. They have taken up this geo-hydrological studies along with the monitoring of the landslides. And accordingly, from these two things, to estimate the threshold levels of the rain, that was also important part, because if you have a different type of landslide, different triggering factor, but most common triggering factor could be the rains or the precipitation. So as in Northeast India is evidence of having a good amount of precipitation. So we thought that along with Dr. Bhup Singh and expert members also, that this also could be one of the experiment which we can keep it here. And then in situ hydrological monitoring also was possible. And one of the case we also have proposed that there should be some numerical modeling and the simulation should also be done with the with at least one or two case studies of the landslide. So these objectives we kept in the mind when we are proposing this networking programs. After that, the PIs participated, and then they have been the money was sanctioned, and after that, from June onwards, 2018 onwards, the program is started. And we thought that once we are having these many objectives of a different kind, so what actually would be the outcome of these studies we are going to have it. So one objective, one of the output was we kept it as a geomorphic characteristics on the slope stability, because I think you heard the lecture of Dr. Kishore, and he was very kind enough to give so many details of the landslide studies, landslide mitigation coming from disaster, all those type of things when we are talking about. So some of these outputs, definitely one can appreciate that this output can definitely be regionalized on a large scale, regional scale, so that the landslide could be classified of some of the individual cases, because the terrain may not be same, the rock types may not be the same, the rainfall intensity may not be the same. But if we are having these type of case studies, there could be a chance of regionalization of these results. That part is very important issue. So that what Dr. Bosing was proposed, that you should do some work, should have at least an opportunity or a good input for the future research and as well as investigations also. So geological profiles and the role of structures, as he has already, we know that some of these landslides has got the geological causes also, structures are also involved in some of the landslide triggering mechanism. Another one is a geotechnical characterization of the study area, because once you only study geomorphology, the work will not be solved until unless you do not go for the geotechnical characteristics of the study area, even if the soil also. So these two things becomes important, and these are the good input for the engineering or for the engineers who are in the line department, who are the implementation people, because they require to have this type of databases, informations also, awareness also. And the triggering factor, most of the time we have the rainfall. So rainfall, soil moisture variation in the study area, then rainfall threshold. These two things are very important, because the rainfall threshold means you have a heavy precipitation on the surface. Rainfall soil moisture means ki somewhere you are having with a gap of the rainfall, maybe in the monsoon season, but definitely how the soil moisture varies in the different locations. So that is only the problem, that after a certain limit, definitely the triggering of the landslide may take place. And this is also a related parameter, the role of unconsolidated mass cover in causing the landslides. Then interlinking, because once this information is available, then we have definitely we'll have this line department like border road organizations is there, state disaster management authorities are there, public works department are there. They are mainly involved in the road expansion and maintenance of this. And somewhere a case was there in Nagaland where a entire village was located on a very vulnerable areas site of the vulnerable landslide sites. So the people from Nagaland, they thought that they should also go for a particular village as a case study, and what type of hazard analysis they can do that and risk assessment, so that there must be an awareness for the local people, and then how to clear the drainages and how to take care of their properties. All those things were there. So this is also interesting case studies we could develop it. And vulnerability and risk assessment is also important, wherever we are having geotechnical and slope analysis, definitely this part also will come out as a outcome. And the slip surfaces and the slope failure, the detailed terrain mapping, when it is there, then it will not be very difficult to do that. As in the last presentation, we have already seen that how these things are matching together if you are having a large scale terrain map. And mitigation and remedial measures is also necessary, because once we try to understand the landslide, so definitely the second part comes, that what could be the appropriate mitigative measures we have to adopt. So these are the people who are there in the networking project. I will not spend much time on it, because I think some of us, we are already in the webinar, so there is not much difficulty. So this is the way in which the things was assigned here. And this is actually the first case in Manipur, where Dr. Hemanta is there from Manipur. He has done it 2-3 aspects. One, he has done the large scale mapping. Another one, he has done it the geotechnical study, soil sample, direct shear soil also, point load test of the samples also. So you can see that how is the face of the slope, and how badly it is vulnerable for the landslide. So definitely it is on the highway. And after that, I can show you the next part. Is the most interesting part when we do with the drone mapping. You can definitely see this, how the slope can be classified, and here you can generate the contours. So these things helping us to map a particular landslides. Wherever we are having the landslide, we can do this. So the drone mapping and other things using the GIS software, even developing a digital elevation model also can be taken care. And after the digital elevation model, we can generate at least 1 meter contour interval map also. So this is one of the objective of Dr. Hemanta. And then here he has given these geotechnical properties testing at the site also, at the laboratory also he has done it, and good results was there. This is the slope part, he has done it. And after that he has given this I think if we can slightly shift it to this part, then it will be better to see the data. Otherwise it is all right, no problem. And then finally he is coming out with the slow failure, how it in different places it is managing it, and what is the weakness, particularly what is the strength of the material which is creating the landslide. All these things he has digitized it, and then finally the recommendation was there. Then there is another case was there, a very remote village in one of the district of Manipur. Dr. Chandra was from Imphal College. He was involved there, and he has taken up two landslide here in Cholachandpur, is along the national highway also, and another one this. Rakhong land, Sira Rakhong landslide. It was also in Ukhrul district. So this is particular case where the things have been totally gone down. Let us see that how it is happening. It. So this was his objectives. I will not go for much in detail here because you can see this. These are the exposures. How vulnerable is this part, this slope, which is susceptible to the landslides. You can see this how the material is sliding and then how it is becoming it. And not only here you have got the earth landslide also, you will find a good vegetation is over here, but definitely it will also having a difficulty how the things are being subsided with the landslide triggering things. We feel that everything is all right, but finally it is happening. So this is the way in which he has done it, that the slope is going here, and most of the soil, secondary soil cover which is exposed, which is even naturally vegetated also, but also the landslide is triggering still. And even you can see that this is another case. You will see that a lot of queries were there because of the construction of the road. And in this part, you will see that how the landslides are becoming vulnerable for these things. So this is all difficulties are there, and these are the materials things he has done it here. This is another case study where we will be having Dr. Okendro. He has also done on NH39 area, and he has taken up the work also. And you can see that these are the consistency limits, particularly the geotechnical investigation he has done in two of the landslides. Actually, this is the area which was having a lot of sometime mud flow also was there, landslide also was there. So this is a very difficult situation. So he has taken up and he has done a lot of these initiatives here. And these are the name of the landslide, that Kalikola and this part where he was facing this type of things, and he has done the failure envelope also, he has developed it, everything he has calculated it. And I think this I will not discuss much in detail. From the Mizoram, Dr. Lalden Tua, he has given I think yesterday a good lecture on him, where the project was given to him, and this is one of the this substation of the electricity supply was there for 132 kV, and this was actually falling in one of the landslide sites. So he has done a good monitoring of the landslide with having certain instrumentation for quite about 2.5 years. I don't know whether the instruments still are working or not, because the project is discontinued. So these are some of his instruments. He installed it, and after that he was monitoring it. So how landslide comes and how these instruments are responding, all these things are happening here. And
Sir?
please.
Sir, everything, all these projects are very interesting. I just want to inform all the participants also that very soon we may be publishing this as in the form of book, and you all should see to it and buy it, for if not for you, for your library also.
No, we'll give them free of cost. We have got money from printing and other things, so we will not charge anything. Except if their interest is there, we will show all these institutions, at least in geology department, in the civil engineering department. We'll definitely give them because we are printing quite a good number of copies. So absolutely, there is no difficulty for them. So this is this was one of the
Yes, sir.
projects.
One more request.
Sir, please.
One more request. If you can wind up in 2 minutes, then we can start our next program at 1.
Professor Devesh Walia,
I know it is very interesting, very difficult.
I can definitely cooperate with you because let me just
Some
see that if
important.
I will because the time is having more constraints. This part I just wanted to show you. This is actually the Nagaland case study was there. You can see that this is the village part and how these things are taking vulnerability for the landslide. And here you can see that how the houses are distributed. So basically they are on the secondary slope, and this was really appreciable work where these PIs, they have done lot of things also in a very difficult terrain where you cannot enter it also, and then you wanted to do that also. This is the Tripura case where only this much landslide prone area is there, and a lot of things has been done. And this is, I think, in Manipur need not to show again. One thing I just wanted to show you. These are some of these areas of the NEHU, this Dr. Professor Devesh Walia's presentation. You can see a building, how vulnerable it is. It is actually what I feel that it is a university complex, a private university complex, and it is almost going, the creeping part is almost going towards near it. So these are all very interesting part which we can see that. One part I wanted to show that it is really interesting part for Manipur, which we have taken it. There is actually a strike slip fault in Manipur, and that creates lot of landslides because it is an active fault, most likely, and it creates a lot of things in Manipur. So there we have taken up some work as not as a landslide part, but as a geomorphological and geodynamic studies we have taken up. So you can see that how this shifting in the last few lakhs years has been taken up about 2.5 kilometer to 1.2 kilometer. So when we see virtually in the ground, you can see this, the large alluvial fan which has been coalesced. You can see that from here. We can all see that. So this is a good study which we have conducted here, and we have done it as an interesting part. We will see that some of the trenches which we have made it, where actually it indicates some of the movements here. So that part I wanted to show, that where we have installed an instrument, 3D fault deformator, which capture the data in 3 dimensions, and data capturing is still going on. So this is something which we are going for that. And finally, I will be leading to the concluding part, because as you have given me a warning that I should finish in 2 minutes, so I will not take more than that time. So recommendation was that virtually we could complete the work within a stipulated time, with at least hardly 6 months more. We took it because of the COVID-19 in last year, because we have done it. And we have decided already, DST has already cooperated us with some additional sanction. So we are going to come out with a compendium of this all 12 projects, and we'll be coming out with about 200 numbers of the compendium copies, and we'll be giving that. And finally, as a acknowledgement, I would like to request that on behalf of all networking team, I would like to be very grateful to DST, as well as the main brain behind it is Dr. Bhup Singh. Now he's already retired, but definitely this is one of the history. His name will be there in the northeastern region, where the landslide program is going out, coming out, and then it will give a very baseline data for in different technical aspects for the younger generation, so that at least there is a good scope for them to learn from the past experiences and to look for new technologies and the new ideas over it. I think with this, I would like to close my things. I would be very, very thankful to Professor Devesh Walia giving me an opportunity to speak and share my ideas on this webinar. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for very elaborate, very exhaustive and excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Yeah, Meghali madam, please.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation. We are really
Thank you.
grateful to you. We are really grateful to you for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. Now the program is open for discussion, and I request Dr. Shikhar Kumar to highlight the question from previous technical sessions.
If any.
Otherwise, webinar actually, the thing is that it is good that prime constraint is there. Was how far we can keep people in front of computer.
Yeah, that's what. That's what. And normally they, with the time, they tend to lose interest. If there is any quick question, you can please.
Yeah. It's quite good. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Before Dr. Shikhar take, Dr. Arun Kumar, this is Dr. Amir from NITM. So,
how are you, sir? Thank you.
मैं ठीक हूँ, आप बताइए, how are everything?
बस ठीक है, एकदम ठीक है.
मुलाकात हुए बहुत दिन हो गए, so
बहुत दिन हो गए, sir.
Yeah, let's have a visit to Imphal and have a darshan.
Definitely, you are most welcome, sir. And anytime when you visit, please inform me, mail me, no problem at all.
हाँ, एक क्वेश्चन जो कल किसी ने पूछा था और वो आज आपने रिपीट किया, that was about the local level mitigation measures जो local community को करना चाहिए for mitigating the impact of risk.
Yes,
you just elaborate on this. You touched upon that aspect.
We have done it actually in one of the landslide in Ukhrul district. What actually was there, the local community people, since they were in the village, so for their children, they wanted to make a playground. And without seeing the landslide issues, they have made a playground and cut the slope. And that was the problem for the coming out of the landslides, because the drainage, they could not maintain it properly. Here, the government will not help. These villagers have to manage by themselves. So at least if some awareness has to be created and has to be given to them, automatically what will happen that what they do and what they don't, that part is very important for the village level people, because they have a very little resources, and with that resources, if they go for their own type of system for scientific without much adding of the scientific knowledge, if they take a decision, then the problem will be there. So that type of things, at least community sensitization on the landslide, a little bit type of the awareness is necessary to create. Without having all experiments, having all studies in the laboratory and field, we have to spend some time with the people also, because these poor people, these people who are not aware, at least we require to make them little bit educated on the landslides, future landslide, how we are going to stop it. That is very important part. Because in a village level road, no PWD will go. Even if the minister is interested, it will go after 3 months. So this connectivity will be lost. So many things will be there. So some awareness is necessary for these landslide hazards in Northeast India, particularly for those villagers which they do not have much facilities also, because they wanted to make a playground, and the playground, making the playground, they have to cut the slope there. So it was actually a difficulty for them.
So Shikhar Saab, you can take over.
Yes, sir. So I have one question. Give me 1 second. Yes, the question is from Mr. Deep Jyoti Haloi. He's asking whether it is advisable to permit construction of mega hydrological dam in northeastern India, considering the vulnerability of northeastern region to landslides.
Yeah, if Professor Arun Kumar would like to comment.
You see, the situation is in both ways. It is a difficult situation, because if you are under generating the energy, definitely you will be finding out some ways to upgrade your energy requirement. and the mega dams is the only solutions. But only thing is that the environmental hazards, displacement of the local people, even the natural hazards also, somehow we have to shift our activities from a large dams to the small dams. I think the environmental loss could be reduced. But it is up to the planners of our country, because when you make a bigger projects, mega projects, definitely you are utilizing the optimum amount of energy. That is the only difficulty we are facing it. But I think there is some ways there. At least you may think of a smaller cities. You will go for some small projects so that at least the environment part should not be having much problems. I think NIDM people also can add little bit if I lost, if I have escaped from something. Then, because only thing is that
no, it is quite good, and we need to look from the overall perspective. That's what is important. Development as well as some harm.
Both things are.
Is there any important quick question, or let us go to the valedictory round, Dr. Shikhar?
Shall I ask another question, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if there is.
Okay, yeah. Another question is, someone is asking, is there a large, what is the solution to the large scale river erosion, which is a big problem in Assam in the Brahmaputra Valley?
River erosion means bank erosion.
Yes, sir.
Sir, bank erosion. Can I interfere for 1 or 2 minutes?
Yeah, for you only. The question is for you.
Thank you. You see, the river Brahmaputra and its tributaries, when they are actually bringing down the entire thing in the large alluvial plains, definitely bank erosion cannot be prevented. Because the number one issue comes here, that the large amount of runoff which is coming from the Himalayan glaciers, even from Tibet area also. So it will really be difficult. Although the government flood control department is taking up a lot of initiatives to protect these banks, but still you will find some new areas are coming out. So actually the local people also, they have no other way, because their properties are there, their agricultural area is there, because they are the most productive land, particularly on the river bank. So they keep on doing it like this. This is actually the real situation. So some rehabilitation should be there, but it is actually a deep socio-economic issues rather than a scientific and engineering part, because you cannot leave people from one place to other place. They are the livelihood places, so they have to be there, either in Bihar or maybe in West Bengal or even in Assam also. And Assam, it is more because the turbulent flow is there in Brahmaputra. Those problems are there. So a lot of engineering things. And another problem is this state owned flood and irrigation departments. There is also a limit that how much work can be done, how much contingency grant they are getting it to protection of all these things before monsoon, after the monsoon. So everything goes in the contingency things, and nutshell, people are facing. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. As we all know that the river land is considered to be wasteland or no man's land, so it is the responsibility of that area's community to take care of it. So with this, probably we'll thank Professor Arun Kumar for very elaborate and covering all over the Northeast, excellent compilation and excellent work by the team under your guidance. Thank you,
sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. You are also one of the part of it.
It is our work. But it is a good compilation. The moment compendium comes, it will be one of the very good documents.
We are waiting for the arrival of Dr. Bhup Singh, then we can start all these activities.
Yeah. Within very short time. So I would like to request the organizers to take it forward. Our program of valedictory session, please.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now we switch over to valedictory session. First, I would like to request Dr. Amir Ali Khan, Assistant Professor, National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi, to give closing remarks of this 3 days online training program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. It's always a pleasure to to be part of this 3 days event. And I hope we are able to justify this program, and we are able to achieve the objectives for which we have conducted this program. As far as this program is concerned, we have 6 eminent speakers who had delivered invited talks on different facets of landslide risk mitigation in Northeast. We invited Dr. Ashok Kumarji, Ashok K. Singh Saab as well for the inaugural part with his keynote address. In addition to that, we have on day one two lectures by Devesh Walia Saab as well as Sival Ghosh Saab for enlightening us about the basic landslide risk mitigation tools and techniques and the issues and challenges and concerns for landslide risk mitigation in Northeast. Day two, we try to focus on mitigation techniques, some observational techniques, some instrumentation techniques. And in that, we have one lecture by Dr. Lalin Puya, who talked about his experiences of mitigation, which Professor Arun Kumar also elaborated today. And then we had Mr. Chandan Ghosh, who talked about something about green techniques and how to incorporate all those things. Today we have, because we are dealing with the critical infrastructure in landslide prone zone, and the most critical infrastructure is the road infrastructure in hilly terrains. So Dr. Kishore Kumarji talked about that aspect. And then last lecture, as all of us know, is by Professor Arun Kumar, who talked in detail about the various activities he has carried out through that project of VST. So I'm just keeping it less because we have heard most of the things. So I want to listen these more speakers like Ravindra Kumarji from NDMA and other speakers. And definitely I will request the organizers to invite the speakers whosoever is there for 1 or 2 sentences, closing remarks, and their observations about this program. So with this, I just close these closing remarks, so-called closing remarks. But I'm really happy that we are able to deliver this program despite all those obstacles which Devesh knows, and in facilitating and convening 6 lectures. So a bit of effort goes into it, and credit goes to Deveshti for accepting the invitation and able to convince the speakers, eminent speakers, who speak on various facets of landslide risk mitigation in Northeast India. With this, I just conclude and hand over the session to the organizers.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your closing remarks. Now, Dr. Lamfring Lalu, guest faculty, Department of Geology, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, will give a short report on this 3 days online training program. Over to you, Dr. Lamfring.
Very short report.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Bengali. A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dr. Lamprang Lalu, guest lecturer of Department of Applied Geology, NEHU, Shillong. Discuss about the brief review about the previous session. Professor Devesh Walia sir, HOD of Geology Department, NEHU, experience about the initiative of landslide risk mitigation in the Northeast India. Most of the landslide in the Northeast India, because of heavy rainfall, it leads to landslide under the force of gravity due to the anthropogenic activity, because they are the commonly result of building the road and the structure without adequate grading of slope and poorly planning alteration of drainage pattern and the distribution of the old landslide. The next, I will talk about Dr. Sival Ghosh about the importance of the multi-scale of landslide hazard analysis, because we discuss most of the landslide risk is the amalgam of the livelihood, the amount of the potential advice of the consequent to an element of the risk arising from the landslide event of a certain magnitude, which stayed a period on an area. Because this landslide hazard in a given area is a function of three parameters, namely like the spatial prediction, where will a landslide occur? Like he discussed about the temporal, when will it occur? And even he discussed about the magnitude, how large and how big that landslide or the landslide event could be. These are the he used some probability of the landslide occur. The next I will about the Dr. Lanli Dimpu Sir. About he discussed about the instrument for the mitigation and the management for the land risk in the Northeast India. We mostly discuss about the mitigation measure undertake to a limit adverse impact like the landslide mitigation cannot begin without investigation factor that trigger the slope of instability. Even it discuss about the preliminary investigation using different thematic map for the prepare of the landslide and the susceptibility map and detailed investigation of like the ground investigation to analyze the deformation mechanism like the surface deformation, the geophysical investigation, geotechnical investigation, and like hydrogeological investigation. And even he talk about the stability analysis of the predominant like the soil slope and the rocks. The next about I will discuss about Professor Chandan Ghosar. He discussed about the landslide risk in the Northeast India and its mitigation and management using the green technique. Because using this green technique, like the technology, if you plant more grass in the slope area, they have a very long root that can absorb the leaching and provide the flood protection. Because by using this grass can stabilize the soil and erosion control and the groundwater retention. And he also discussed about the tolerance to the soil because this grass can grow with a high and low pH, salinity, and even he discussed about the deep extension penetration route because this grass, they have a deep penetration route. And also about discussion about the transportation of the hydroseeding has evolved to provide the solution establishment for the sustainable of vegetation in the world of tough environment. Because you know that this grass, it is a perennial grass. It can grow throughout the different temperature because it will it give an evergreen because different variety of grass because there are different variety of grass based on the different type. Because he also discussed about the Shillong Guwahati road because they have to plant this type of grass to prevent from landslide. Next, I will discuss about I will tell about the Dr. Kishore Sir, Kishore Kumar Sir. He discussed about the building resilient road infrastructure in the landslide prone area. He discussed about the sustain of development, integration and conservation and development on the long-term basis to provide the social and economic benefit without compression the need for the future generation. And he also talked about the scale because the scale for the construction because for the construction of the highway they have to use like a large scale mapping. And he also discussed about the climate change. And we have to use like the this different type of technology, utilize the technology like a multidiscipline for the multidiscipline because he also discussed Using the GIS, we can create like the contour map, the base map, the theme model, the slope monitoring, and the geology and the morphological. The next is about Arun Kumar San, Professor Arun Kumar San. He discussed about the landslide mitigation, the early warning in the Northeast India. Sir, we discussed about mostly about the large-scale mapping, about the geotechnical survey like the soil sample and the monitoring of the landslide. And he also discussed about the geomorphology and the geohydrological studies. And even sir, he also discussed about the geology profile and the geotechnical characteristic and the geotechnical properties. He also discussed about the rainfall and the soil moisture and the rainfall threshold. And even sir also discussed about the vulnerability and the risk assessment, and about the mitigation. For this,
Yeah, thank you.
it was thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Lamfring. Now I would like to request Dr. Saival Ghosh, Director Geology, Geohazards Research and Management Center, Geological Survey of India, Kolkata. I welcome you, sir, for gracing this occasion, and I would like to request for delivering the valedictory address. Over to you, sir.
Namaskar. I'm really glad to be associated with such a beautiful congregation where a lot of good people who are working so much work in Northeast are assembled. And also you have tagged the national departments like us, also National Disaster Management Authority. So this is really a good attempt through which we are trying to coordinate or sync the activities which is going on in Northeast. In my address, I will just add 2 or 3 important aspects which I have thought that I should share with you. That still, since we are belonging from a operational department where we do take a lot of work in collaboration with the state government and these things, so we have seen some of the problems which I wanted to share with the scientist community. The problem is that when the state government, actually, you know that they are the main implementing agencies and also the other road maintaining authorities, railway authorities. Sometimes we have faced that they are really facing challenges on some scientific aspects, very basic scientific aspects. Suppose slope stability modeling, how to design a retaining structures, all those things. So my humble request to you all is that whenever you are working in a region, in a state, please collate all the work and at least supply that metadata information to the State Disaster Management Authority and also Geological Survey of India, because you know Geological Survey of India is the nodal agency for landslide studies, and our work mainly is to promote this sort of research activities. And also we should also know that where these sort of activities are going on so that we can help the SDMS and DDMS very directly that, okay, if you are working in Arunachal Pradesh or in Mizoram, you please contact with these scientists. They are doing excellent work and you can take help from them. Because here Dr. Ravinder Singh is there. We are associated in one project since last 2-3 years where NDMA is actually funding for mitigation of site-specific landslides to the states, and we have seen the problems what state is facing. But as I am seeing that work is going on, several work is going on in different regions. Only thing is that we have to maintain a bridge between the implementing agencies and the scientific community. As you know that all scientific research should be having some real life implications or implementations. If it is there, then that scientific endeavor is the best endeavor. Now, apart from this, I would also thought that since a lot of research are there in this gathering, so I wanted to share with you some new areas where you can think of some more work, because still those areas much lesser amount of research have been carried out so far. One of the area is very important nowadays is the area of multi-hazard. You see, now if you see the recent incident of the Chamoli disaster, even the 2013 Uttarakhand disaster also, though all the disaster was like that it started with a particular hazard, but it actually incite or influence multiple domino type of hazards. And ultimately what is happening that the impact and losses are huge. So nowadays we have to think of a multi-hazard concept. We have to take up some of the research on the multi-hazard aspects. There are some areas which are coming up very nicely in international literature. That is the application of machine learning and artificial intelligence in landslide. Yesterday, I think day before yesterday, I gave a lecture on the multi-scale landslide susceptibility and hazard analysis. And I told there that all the maps which GSI is producing, these are all static product, but these maps needs periodic updating. Now this updating is also a very challenging task. And now the community wants that updation should be done in a very faster manner. And there, what I understand that the role of AI and ML is there, how we can update our existing database. Another very important thing, as I told that day, that still the country is not able to do hazard and risk map sensu stricto, because there are huge gaps in landslide inventory data. We are having a lot of data with us, but when we go inside the data, we are seeing that in many landslides, the basic information of landslide occurrence date are missing. If those informations are not there, then we will not be able to go to the higher level. That is the main thing. Please remember these things. And my sincere thanks to Professor Debesh Walia of NEHU, NIDM. I have been associated with lot of NIDM endeavors before also. And please, I encourage all the researchers, do good work, and you try to utilize your research for the real life implementations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your admiring speech. And once again, very much thank you for your valuable suggestion. Now, I would like to request Professor Devesh Walia, Head of the Department of Geology, NEHU Shillong, will give us the future way of this type of training program and feedback received from the participants during this training program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Meghali. For any program, feedback is one of the very, very important aspects, and that's how we need to learn, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Shabalji, that we need to fill up wherever gaps are. So to start with the feedback, I would like to request anybody who, if anybody has got, although there is a feedback form is there, all of you are requested to fill up the feedback form, so that and while filling up, your name spelling should be correct, see to it, so that you will get certificate on the whatever name, whatever spellings you are writing in that feedback form. And fill it up, because the feedback for each and every lecture is there, so that we can improve whenever we organize any next program of this nature. We have been organizing through NDMA, and I'm very grateful for that. and through and along with NIDM also we have organized. And so now, dear participants, it's your floor. Basically, I am organizing only for you this 5 minutes. So please suggest, please say. You can raise your hand so that we can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself one by one and give your suggestions so that we are able to improve such program in the times to come. Yeah, Professor Dr. V.S. Sharma ji, your suggestions, please.
So thank you very much, sir. It is excellently organized by Professor Jawasop, and I congratulate Kaliasaur and his team members. And really, the selection of the people who are iconic people, they have done excellent job. Really, delivering the lectures in this way is, I cannot forget. As a matter of fact, I'm new to this theme, even though I have worked for 40 years in the ERA. But now these 3 days lectures have educated me excellently a lot, and I have also given my feedback in the chat box. And I am grateful to Professor Bayesha for giving me this wonderful opportunity for participation and for expression of my feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And to the participants, I would like to inform you, and through you in the process to everyone, that all the lectures on the first day, second day are already sent to you through email. The PDF of all the lectures delivered are already sent. Today's lectures will also be sent. Even your certificate of participation will also be sent through email. There were altogether 340 registrations for this program, but we could allow only 250 persons to participate in this program, and out of that, finally around 225-30 they are attending. So thank you everyone for such a nice gesture by attending and by learning for your safety. So if there is any other question, anybody wants to say something, you are again most welcome. Before I call our chief guest of today's program to give his remarks, anybody, you are free to say, free to comment or whatsoever.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
This is Raghuveer Negi. I'm from DBS College, Dehradun. This program was very informative, and we have learned so many things by these programs. So my suggestion is, like, if there could be any workshop related to some geospatial modeling, like AHP, as Ghosh sir said, like AHP is the very good and which has GSI used in the landslide susceptibility mapping. If there can be any workshop over that or any other modeling methods where we can learn up the things like how the modeling can be executed. So that will be a great help for a research scholar like us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. This is
Well,
one
yes,
very
sir.
important aspect, and it should be there in the practical. We miss
Well,
it
yes, sir.
because it is online media. Yeah.
Let's have a quick
Please.
comment on this.
Yeah.
I also forgot to tell all these participants that GSI organizes training program on landslides every year from the region itself, where we are also involved. So please participate. This is free of charges for the university students and research scholars. You can join free of any charges. Please participate, and then you will get this geospatial modeling, all those things which we are actually doing easily.
Yeah. So in line to what Dr. Sheval said, I'll tell you that Geological Survey of India Training Institute, through that they keep organizing lot of programs. So be attentive. You can visit their portal, Geological Survey of India portal. You can just find it out and visit. And there are many programs other than landslides also maybe of your use. Yeah. Once again you want to say, Mr. Negiji, please.
Thank you, sir. So actually, I've been a part of many GSI training, like when they have been started the online e-platform. So we get the seat in that, but there is limitations like the 20 or 30 seats are available only. So for research scholar, it is very hard to get in such a type of training program. So if GSI or any organization will be doing some such things, will be great things for us. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. This is important. I forgot because the seats are limited there. So that's what is important.
You write to
So
us. You write to
very
me.
correct. We'll take care. We'll take care of it.
You
Yeah.
please write to us. Write to me also. You can write. if you can get at least 10 research scholars in your fold, then we will organize a specialized sessions for you. Don't worry about that.
All right. We'll again organize along with GSI very soon. Don't worry. We have got lot many people, those who are waiting, because out of 300, around 50, we have chosen only 250. So around 100 are there in the waiting. So anybody wants to say anything further? Otherwise, we will close this by this session, feedback session. Otherwise, there is a feedback form is there, and how to improve the program. You can fill it up without any aspiration, any doubt or anything. You can fill up whatever you want to say about any of the speaker or any of the program. So you are free to write down. So
in
I
addition to
think,
that, you can give your feedback through chat box as well, the structured questionnaire which has already been given. Otherwise, as well, you can give personal calls to the organizing team members, Devesh Walia ji or me, or any of these members. So please feel free so that we can further improve the course and the topics. Definitely, there are limitations in 3 days. Number one, limitations in online. So lot many limitations in conducting the online 2 hours per day course. So consider those as well. But definitely well taken is that there is a scope for further improvement, and we will definitely work on this in future courses.
Yeah, thank you. Means from our side, we tried building up from the beginning, from the scratch, and then we have come up to while Professor Arun Kumar was lecturing, up to the threshold levels, up to the warning levels. We discussed everything. Definitely, there is a scope of modeling and some more practicals in a real classroom form, so that you can apply also physically, practically. I think we have done with this. I'll go back to the organizers to take the program
And
forward.
just 1 minute, Walia ji. Okay, just pray this Corona phase is just over. We will come for organizing a physical program, face-to-face program, and we may invite in Shillong the entire Northeast for geology-related 5 days course where we can organize even field visits, laboratory demonstrations, and everything, including Civil Ghosh his expertise and face-to-face discussions. So we may organize that. It may be a residential program. So myself or Ravindraji or we can join all 3 or 4 together in organizing a wonderful 5 days program. Just pray, sab theek ho jaye. That's all.
So in line of that, our one program with NDMA through Ravinderji is already in the pipeline. We are just waiting for the system to be okay. So thank you.
Include us
Thank
as
you
well.
for
So we will
reminding
be a
that.
joint partner in that.
And one more thing before I end, as I told you that that there is a team of geoscientists working at various places. They are looking for some good people or at undergraduate level to support in the name of Krishna Nuni ji, the deputy director general, or the up to the level of director general he was raised up to. They would support 3 students for further studies. So we'll be organizing a popular lecture along with the quiz competition very shortly. So keep track of that so that you are able to participate in that program also and get awarded for your further studies in geology anywhere in India. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Meghali, and thank you everyone for participating in this program. Yeah, you can go ahead, Meghali.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request our chief guest, Dr. Ravinder Singh, Senior Consultant, Landslide and Avalanche at National Disaster Management Authority, North Delhi. I welcome you, sir, for gracing this occasion, and I would like to request for your remarks on this training program. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Meghali, and thank to Professor Devesh Walia ji and Dr. Amir Ali sir. And as I already heard Dr. Saibal Ghosh, his remarks on our initiative of GSI NDMA, we have done a LRMS landslide risk mitigation scheme, under which we have provided the fund for landslide risk mitigation to some of the state. Just now in the phase 1, we have provided the fund for Sikkim, Mizoram, Nagaland and Uttarakhand for mitigation of 5 landslide sites. And right now we are all in the verge of finalizing and studying the DPRs of other states like J&K and other state of the Indian Himalayan regions. So here I would like to mention that in the past few years, we are conducting this kind of training program on landslide mitigation and management to make aware our participant and researcher and other stakeholder, specifically the line department of PWDs and geology and mineral resources in the state government, to give the have the insight of the new technologies, emerging technologies in the field of landslide mitigations, and adopt this kind of technology and reduce the risk of the landslide. And this kind of techniques and technologies are very minimum, and pupils in the northeastern parts, especially in the northeastern parts, are limited to this kind of technologies. So we have to make them aware about this kind of technologies. And as Saivalji already mentioned about the AI, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things and machine learnings, these kind of technologies are the going to be the future of the disaster management and other areas of the developmental sector. So we have to adopt these kind of technologies because our future will depend upon it, and we have to mitigate our landslides and prepare for to reduce the risk accordingly. And as we already knows that NDMA, in collaboration and association with our association with other stakeholders and ministries like GSI and other universities, have released so many other documents, like National NDMA have released landslide management and avalanches guideline in 2009, and National Landslide Risk Management Strategy in September 2019. And also we have released the GLOF guideline in 2020 in October. So these kind of guidelines should be make them aware.
इसलिए सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं because हमारा लाइफस्टाइल बहुत अच्छा है.
So these type of document should be studied and gone through by these universities and researchers, because our ministries and department are doing our daily routine work and programs. But these researchers from the universities, like I saw Laldin Puya from the Mizoram University, he is a good friend of mine, and he is a some kind of initiative in Mizoram. So this researcher can create these kind of new technologies and collaborate with the international and national partners. So collaboration is very much required for development of research and other sectors. So that's why these institutions should be aware about the governmental programs and the objectives and the action points which government of India have listed in their documents. So please gone through those documents available in the NDMA website, and the GSI already provided their NLSM map on the for the public. They are going to be released soon. So this kind of output of the mapping and the documentation should be gone through it. And NIDM also published so many good document and modules on trainings. So these kind of trainings and documents to be uh, provided, and the lectures to be provided by these participants, because our participant of this training program are our master trainers. So they can also organize this kind of training programs in their universities, colleges and schools, so that our children's and future generation to be aware about this kind of technologies available in the country and in the abroad. So as our speakers already mentioned, the indigenous knowledge. So indigenous knowledge is very much required, because we are forgetting our forefathers' knowledge which and best practices available earlier, and we are building our houses in the vulnerable slopes and the very critical areas which are marked as the danger zones, and are we are cutting the slope also. Like in Mizoram is the one of the most vulnerable example, that Mizoram is known as the landslide capital of India, and they are cutting the slope and building the houses of 4 to the 5 stories, which are very much vulnerable. So we have to adopt new kind of practices to create housing practices. We have to modify our best practices and codes as per the need of the today's time. And we collate and document the indigenous knowledge available in the earlier through our documentations, gazette of the Britishers. As I know, they are collating all the knowledge in the gazettes of the India. So those kind of gazettes should be referred by the researchers and the public sector line department, and to make their practices and program as in line with the demand and need of the local community. So these are my final submission. We have to be in work in collaboration, like in the national level with NIDM and GSI, and in the state level, like NEHU universities and other state department are working well in this field. So we have to collaborate with these local people and to make some kind of new initiative and projects in a collaborated manner, so that we can reduce and create some kind of sustainable development in the India. So this is my humble submission. We have to focus on it, as our Prime Minister also given the PM 10-point agendas and Sendai framework of action. So these documents should be referred by these our researchers. So to chalk out their research project, they are going to submit in the DST and other bodies like funding organization. They have to study which kind of action programs are required as per the need of the local community. So these are my humble submission for this platform and the stakeholder and participant. So we will collaborate more with our participant and institutions. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your admiring speech. Now it's time for Dr. Shikhar Kumar to offer vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Shikhar Kumar.
Yeah, before Dr. Shikhar Kumar says, Dr. Ravin Kumar and Dr. Shaival Ghosh has given excellent overview of the complete system scenario in India. And I would like to request all the participants to take advantage of this lecture, which is available on YouTube also. If you have missed any part, you can visit in the evening on the YouTube channel and still see. So you will not miss anything. Yeah, thank you.
And before Dr. Shikhar give the final vote of thanks, can I request Professor Chandan Ghosh as well to say a few words? If he's available.
Yeah, I can see just a one-liner.
Yeah, just one-liner, maybe.
No, I had another meeting, just it is over, then I could join.
Please, just your one-liner. We are just at the end of, about to close.
But I have already fixed up that whatever grass to be sent to Professor Walia.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
that's great. Yeah, that is the best news. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Shaival Ghosh also wanted to say something. Yes, please.
Sir, I am just sharing you the GSI training calendar for this year. It's a huge document. We used to organize nearly 200 training programs. So that will be very helpful for all these research scholars. Not only on landslides, you can find a lot of opportunities. Landslide ka 3 training ho chuka hai abhi, kuch din pehle. So I will just send you the mail to Walia Sahab. Walia Sahab, please share it with all the trainings.
With all the participants. Sure, thank you. Yeah. So all of you will get the GSI yearly annual calendar of the various training programs. Yeah, Dr. Dinpuya, would you like to say one-liner before we close? Dinpuya,
thank you, the organizer, for giving me opportunity to share some of my experience. And I see my friend, Dr. Ravindra. So I am very grateful for this webinar and training. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. If anybody wants to say any one-liner, because in the beginning we missed. All right, then Dr. Shikhar, please.
Okay. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Ravinder Singh, respected guest of honor and invited speaker, Dr. Saibal Ghosh, our respected coordinators for this wonderful program, Dr. Amir Ali Khan and Professor Devesh Walia, Our most valued invited speakers, Professor Chandan Ghosh, Dr. Laldin Puya, Dr. Kishore Kumar, and Professor Arun Kumar, and all other participants with us today, a very good afternoon to you all. I, on behalf of Department of Geology, Northeastern Hill University, and National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, extend a very spirited vote of thanks to all the guests for gracing us with their presence today in this valedictory session of the 3-day training program on landslide risk mitigation and management in Northeast India. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Ravinder Singh for giving us his valuable time from his busy schedule for his address, giving us an overview about the need for new technologies being used for disaster management, especially in Northeast India. A heartfelt thank you to Dr. Saibal Ghosh sir for being the guest of honor in today's session, as well as for his invigorating lecture on day 1 of this training program. Sincere thank you to all our eminent invited speakers, Professor Chandan Ghosh from NIDM, New Delhi, Dr. Laldin Puya from Mizoram University, Dr. Kishore Kumar from CSIR CRRI, and Professor Arun Kumar from Manipur University. I am certain that all of us have benefited from the lectures and presentations shared by you all, and the work you all have done inspires the rest of us to follow your path and continue working in the field of geotechnical research. We are very grateful to Dr. Amir Ali Khan sir and Professor Devesh Walia sir, the coordinators of this training program, for their continued guidance and support for the successful organization of this program. I am also thankful to the organizing team from the National Institute of Disaster Management, as well as the organizing team from the Department of Geology, Northeastern Hill University, for their continued efforts in making this event a success. Last but not the least, I would like to express our sincere thanks to all the participants who have been here with us throughout the program on all the 3 days, and I'm sure you all have learned a lot from the lectures of our eminent speakers. All of you will be receiving the participation certificates in the coming hours. Kindly check your spam folders in case you don't see it in your inboxes. Once again, I wish to thank everyone who has been a part of this wonderful program. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shikhar. Thank you, all the organizers. Before we close, I would like to request all of you to switch on your video so that we can take 1 or 2 photographs. All the participants, you are requested to switch on your video so that we can take photograph. As many as of you can switch on the video for fraction of minute. Second important thing is that you will be getting the certificate in your through your email within 1 hour or so. The notes, they have been already sent. If you still want something more information or whatever information we'll get, we'll transmit it to you without delay the moment we receive. Thank you for participating, and thank you for being with us for these 3 important days, every day for 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. So please switch on your video. Probably, I think organizers are taking some photograph, and we know each other, not physically, at least through this virtual mode. That's what is, we got the training now. So yeah, whomsoever possible can remain, and hopefully the organizers, they are taking photograph. And thank you everybody. Thank you Ravinder ji, thank you Shaival ji, thank you. Special thanks to Professor Chandan Ghosh ji, that towards the last moment, at least during the photo session, you are there. So we were missing you during the whole program from 1 to 1:30, but at least at around 1:45 you are there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Amir ji,
thank you to you
for being there
for taking
morning.
all pains and making this program a success.
And now
And
I
thank
can
you.
see so many people from the Northeast. Thank you, Dr. Laskar. Thank you, Hemanta ji. Thank you, everyone. I can see everyone. Thank you, Hello ji.
Thank you, sir.
Sir. Thank
Sir.
you. With this, we can end the meeting. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Shaival.